Welcome! It's a windy day for Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I'm so glad you're here. We have so many beach advisories and small craft advisories here lately, but I just love Cleveland. I hope you love where you are. And I don't just mean that as a physical location. We're exploring Samatvam all year, the principle of equanimity, whatever comes at you. The idea is when you are really yourself, not putting on any masks, not trying to impress anybody, including yourself, then you experience life at a very even keel. Very little shakes you. And today I'm tying together some things we've talked about recently with the dedication. So if you're a member of Costco, you might get the Costco connection. And this woman was featured recently, Nassim Rochette. And apologies if I am not pronouncing the name correctly. On May 21st in 2018, Nassim was run over by a car. She was in a crosswalk and she was run over by an SUV, not once, not twice, but this car ran over her three times. Three times. I don't even want to think about how that happened. And of course, she thought she was going to die. She's recovered. And this is her. And smiling. Boy, sometimes I think I might have a hard day, but this woman has learned equanimity. One of the things she's talked about in this little article is something we talked about with chapter 2 when Arjun finally accepts Krishna's help. She says, you got to let people help you so that you get better. Well, hopefully we're helping each other. And the words of the Gita can help us to find this equilibrium within ourselves. I mean, I got to tell you, I've studied spiritual stuff for a while, but if somebody hit me 3 times with the car, I don't know that I think I'd have a different response than Nassim there. So an inspiration, and we can derive inspiration from the Bhagavad Gita. I'm reading from the Song of Your Soul series, poetic translation. We're going to look at the next verse from what we looked at yesterday. So this is the idea of Arjun has asked Krishna, Krishna, you're a great mirror, but how can I know within myself if I am making progress on my path? And one of the things Krishna said yesterday, well, he said it a long time ago, but we looked at yesterday was leaving behind all desires arising from the mind and becoming content. I practiced that yesterday. Did you? It was great because I went to a baseball game, which it's really easy to lose your equilibrium depending on what's going on the field or around you. And just the whole day I put this into practice, and I tell you, I feel quite different today after just one day of trying that. One day of really, really focusing on it. I'd love to hear your experience. Feel free to share it in the comments. And thank you for all the comments you are sharing. So today, in the verse, here's another way that you can start recognize. Well, another couple ways you can recognize if you're making progress, or you can put these into practice and see how they go for you, what they affect in you. I'll sing today's verse. When one's mind is not vexed by pain, one does not crave pleasure. One's fear, attraction, and anger are gone. One is a steady-minded sage. Did I read that yesterday? Nope, I didn't. Having a moment. Okay. And I'm having a moment because I'm having a migraine kind of thing. And this really speaks to me today when one's mind is not vexed by pain and one does not crave pleasure. So, this is one of these. We're going to hear a lot about opposites. Windy. As we go through looking at what the Gita says about equilibrium. Krishna will say, when you can be the same in one opposite or another opposite, then you're finding yourself. For example, if you feel you're a generous person, but you're only generous when you think you have enough, and you're stingy when you feel you don't have enough, then truly, according to Krishna, you're not really generous, because a generous person would give all the time. This is tough. When one's mind is not vexed by pain and one does not crave pleasure, I'm focusing on that particular line because it's so easy, as we all know, when we're in pain, to act differently. That could be lashing out at others. It could be, not doing what we really want to do because of the pain. And when we learn how to not be upset about the pain, as the Buddha said, life is suffering, not saying that all life is suffering, but suffering is part of life. And when we get to that point where we're not craving pleasure all the time, pleasure and pain being the two opposite aspects of existence, then we're getting somewhere. So I could have said today, I'm having migraine type symptoms and I'm just not going to do this, and everybody will understand, especially people who've had migraines. I'm going to take a bunch of pills or whatever. I take no pain meds and I come to you, and I might not speak as well or remember as well as usual, but I'm going to soldier on because this is dear to me, and I'll do it whenever I feel good and whenever I'm feeling not so good. So today, and it doesn't have to be, if you're in massive pain and you need self-care, like Nassim, take care of yourself. But we all have pains throughout the day, throughout our lives. Every single one of us has pain. And what happens in this world is, if we let our pain sway us and break us, it ripples out to others. We make suffering for others as well. When we can transform that suffering into just part of existence, or model to others how you can work with it, then we help the whole world grow. So today, as we practice, be aware of, if you are doing things to avoid pain, and I'm not talking about damaging yourself, but avoiding pain like discomfort, instead of embracing it as a part of life. Okay, don't hurt yourself, but realize we are all suffering. I mean, emotional pain. A lot of troubles I saw working in psychiatry are because people went through pain and just put a wall up around it and didn't want to process it. You have to experience it, sorry, in some way to work through it. So I'm not talking about harming yourself, but the pain that we have within, we have to learn how to process and deal with it instead of hiding it. Like, I could take pills and hide the pain, but then I might be doing something to exacerbate it. If I'm not taking pills, then I know what I need to do for my body to heal, because my body will feel better doing it. I hope this makes sense. We can examine where we're experiencing pain and not using self-care to resolve it, not just cover it up, but resolve it. And being mindful that we're not trying to create an artificial pleasure instead of dealing with that suffering. Let's deal together, shall we? Our balance pose. Remember, it's not about pushing through and damaging. It's about acknowledging and processing. So if you're feeling pain in this practice, adapt. All right? You can do it. I know you can. If I can do it, you can do it, because I'm not that much different than anybody else. We're all the same. Here we go. Hello. Switch. let's come on back. Today, perhaps, this might be a toughie, but bring to mind some way in which you're suffering. And can you sit with that suffering? Like if you were experiencing pleasure and you can sit with that or enjoy it or even cling on to it. I'm not saying cling on to the pain any more than I'd say cling on to the pleasure, like the Gita would say, don't do that. But can you be with it? And maybe just being with it, you can start noticing what you need to do to resolve it instead of covering it up and hoping it just goes away. Because it's not gonna. Here we go. If this feels like too much, you can put your hands in a healing mudra, samana. Okay, it's said to help heal. And even if there's some place that's sore, you can put the fingertips against that place. All right, or two for extra power. Let's do it. Welcome back. How'd it go? Whew. I found that sitting with my suffering gave me some insights. I've learned from sitting with it how to prevent it more effectively in the future. And also, as I sat with it, I remembered that this mudra helps. So it's helping. Yay. And it's just helping. That's my own thing. It might not help you, but hopefully you got some insight into how you can get closer to your true self and being that beautiful, wonderful self all the time. Until we meet again.